Board members. How many do we need?
4.
Is there 4 or 5?
One cannot be recalled yet.
Well, I hear they've all resigned. I hear they've all resigned.
I tell you what, I will freaking do whatever position you want me to do. Okay, I'll do it.
Anyone want to nominate someone for school board?
I nominate Vail.
Okay, we have one right here. Everybody recognize? What's your name?
What's your name?
Bill Liebig.
Bill Liebig has been nominated. Who seconds it?
I second it.
Do we pass?
Anyone?
Yes.
Anyone
Say
opposed?
aye. Opposed.
Somebody get Kelly in.
Okay.
All right.
We have now, I nominate Kelly. Or no.
Somebody in district nominate her.
Somebody has to get, you have to be in district.
You have to be in district. I can't. Are you district?
Stacy?
Okay. We have with Tiffany Sanders.
Right here.
You're in district.
Okay.
Come on up, honey.
What's your name?
Stacy Ollinger.
Stacy Ollinger. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second in district. All right.
Listen,
Okay.
take my number.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we got like 2 nays.
We got 2.
All right, what was your name?
Stacy Ollinger.
All right, perfect. We got 2.
We have.
So this is Robert Rules of Order.
Quiet. Quiet.
Right there, Angelica Hemming.
Okay, who nominates her?
I second.
Are you in Vail?
Yes.
All right. What was your name?
Angelica Hemi.
All right.
I second.
Angelica, we got a second. All right, all those in favor of Angelica?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congrats. That's 3. Who else?
Anybody else in Vail?
Who else in Vail? Go outside, find someone.
Okay.
Somebody nominate her if she wants to be a member. 3. 1, 2, 3. Anastasia. Okay, you nominate Anastasia. What's your name?
Anastasia Tsatsakis.
All right. All in favor of Anastasia?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Congratulations.
What was your full name?
Great, Mama.
Full name?
Anastasia Tsatsakis.
Okay. One more? That's 4.
We need 5.
5. If they've all quit, we're hearing they've all quit. Who's nominated? That's 4.
There's someone back there. I was.
Oh, you were nominated? We didn't vote on you.
Okay.
We didn't vote on her.
Hey, we already had somebody here that got passed over. We got one.
Okay, someone needs, so she has
I
to be
nominate
nominated.
Tiffany Sanders.
I second.
Seconded? Okay. All in favor of Tiffany?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, full name?
Tiffany Sanders.
All right, so that's 5. They've all been elected based on the Robert's Rules of Order. At this point, we need to adjourn. Okay, at this point, so somebody needs a motion to adjourn.
Do you want, I'm going to go out there and tell them what's going on.
No, hey, let's get to the mask policy first.
Oh, okay, okay,
We
so
have to have an official meeting first.
so they'll have to meet on that. The board will
Not
have
next
to.
to each other.
Oh my gosh.
You guys want new board?
Let's get pictures of the new board.
Out here, if you don't mind. Just tell them
New
what-
Vail.
Need
Need one more. Where's the 5th?
Where's the other board member?
Need the 5th. Someone find Angelica.
It's your first day on the job.
Yeah, so new board. Okay, so here's the new board.
It's your first day on the job. Don't fail.
Marco, can they vote to remove the mask? Okay. All right, you guys. Hey,
Look here.
you can vote to remove the mask. So somebody on the board needs the motion to remove the mask, and then someone needs the second. Okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. Quiet.
Everybody be quiet. Quiet.
Go ahead.
I motion that the entire Vail School District will be free of mask policy and it will be optional to all teachers and students alike with no fear of retribution.
Perfect. Board member needs a second. Okay, we need to have a vote. Okay, say your name.
Angelica, aye.
Aye. Tiffany Sanders.
Aye, Stacy Ollinger.
Hi, Bill Liebig.
Aye, Anastasia.
Okay, that's unanimous. No more mask in Vail. Is there any other agenda items you guys need to handle down here?
Motion that
Vail School District has no rights to do any medical interventions on any child,
Yes.
even with an emergency order.
Okay. You're okay. Repeat that.
I motion that the Vail School District has no right to do any medical interventions on a child, even with even with an emergency order.
So no, you want to repeat it one more time? I think people here are giving feedback that they don't want it to force.
I motion that the Vail School District is not allowed to force or even recommend medical treatments for children without parental consent, and it does not matter for an emergency order.
Okay, so there it is. Anyone second that?
I second that.
Okay, so let's have a vote. Say your name.
Angelica.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, Stacy.
I believe it.
Okay, motion's passed unanimously. Anything else that needs to be handled?
I'd like to say one thing, and I want everybody within earshot to hear me.
Quiet.
Hold on, guys. Listen.
Okay.
Get the bullhorn.
Just blast it outside. Just blast it outside.
I want everyone within earshot of my voice to understand what is going on. We now were elected as the new Vail board for this district, and we have voted to end the entire mask policy for the entire school district and made it optional for teachers and for students.
Awesome.
Hundreds of parents show up to a Vail school board meeting yesterday to tell the board we don't want our kids to be forced to wear masks. Make it optional. Instead of listening to the parents, the Vail school board members flee. They left before the meeting even started. We believe they were hiding in the back, waiting for the other parents to leave so they could have a secret meeting. Who knows? But they just didn't want to deal with it. So they eventually left. I have all the videos on my page at KNST.com. And since they left and violated the open meeting laws in here in Arizona, because there's a publicly posted meeting, you can't just not have it. There were hundreds of parents still mad, so they decided under Robert's Rules of Order, and we'll get into that we're going to elect a new school board. And they have 5 new members. Videos on my page, KNST.com, and they actually voted to end the mask requirement, making it optional for all students and staff in Vail.
Okay, so they just said the meeting's not been called to order. You need to leave. No.
Call to order and adjourn it.
So it's open meeting law in Arizona. Yeah.
We're making a request
Yeah, I
upon
understand
facility that they leave.
I understand.
Yeah, we don't need to call it to order. We're just making. a request
So open
upon
meeting law. So show me an open meeting law where you can do that.
The meeting's over, sir.
The meeting never started. Yeah, so we can pull that up, and I mean you're a sheriff, so I mean you kind of got to
Like I
enforce the
said,
law.
why can't we just do it and
Oh,
adjourn it?
so who's this guy over here? Are you a board member, sir? Okay, so you know about open meeting law in Arizona, right? Okay, so you have to call the meeting to order and follow the agenda.
I'm going to refer you to the board president.
Who's the board president? Okay, so you know open meeting law in Arizona. Okay, are you following it right now? How? So if you've posted a meeting public, you don't have to ever call that meeting to order. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. I'm glad we got this documented, though. Oh, okay, that's great.
I can't.
So aren't you the LD10 Republican chair? Supposed conservative. What do you have to say about this?
Sir, this is a nonpartisan location.
Mm-hmm.
I don't discuss
Chris
politics.
King, we hired you for this position.
So you were elected to represent the people.
Elected to represent the parents.
You're
in
not
this
representing the
hallway.
people right now.
I'm elected to represent the students and the staff of this district.
That's actually fully untrue.
Not true.
Untrue.
Absolutely
Wow.
not.
That's the Republican Party for you right there, though.
Everybody, this is a meeting of the governing board. We've adjourned the meeting.
You didn't adjourn a meeting you never started.
We've adjourned the study session. And I'm not
Okay, so what time's
telling
the...
you is you're being asked to leave.
Okay, so what time is the open meeting?
So please leave now.
What time's the open meeting start?
Please leave.
No, I'm asking you a question. You're an elected. You work for the people. What time's the meeting start?
I'm elected.
Okay, so why is he talking?
Clay? Because he's the superintendent of the school.
So he doesn't run this meeting. So you run the meeting, and you're elected, and you work for the people. When does the meeting start?
We're not having a meeting today.
Was it posted publicly that there would be a meeting today?
I want to
Okay.
make sure you guys
So,
know that this is
I mean,
live
this,
streamed to the Purple
yeah,
for
this
Parents
is amazing that
statewide
you're doing
right
this.
now.
You're doing this
Statewide.
publicly. It's amazing to see. I mean, this is something to witness. So, I'm Patriot Party President Steve Daniels.
Justine
Everyone that wants to get
Wozniak
that.
running for state senate in LD10.
President of
And this is
Purple for
LD10.
Parents.
But we do have LD10 students here.
That's Chris King, LD10 GOP chair, right there.
He's not forced to. He doesn't like students.
They're walking out on the people.
Way to go there.
Let me show you
Wow.
the Vail School District.
This is what you get down here. Garrett Lewis is gonna love this in the morning.
Walking away.
I'll be on Garrett Lewis describing what I'm witnessing right now.
Walking
John
away from people.
John Aiken. Okay.
You're not
A-
listening to
AITKEN.
the children who are here to speak.
Oh, this is gonna be great on Garrett tomorrow.
I'll push forward. You hold on to mom.
Remember this on election day, people.
Parents of the Vail School District, you need to file a complaint against the school board for violating open meeting law. This is absurd. Wow.
Last board meeting had one parent. This board
Chris
meeting-
King, nothing to say over there. Way to represent the people, Chris.
Wow.
That's the GOP for you right there. He's literally a legislative district chairperson.
Wow.
He's the chairman of LD10 for the Republican Party. That's a supposed conservative right there who just walked out on the people. I just want everyone to know that. LD10 chair. Are you LD10? Who's LD10 in here? Anyone?
Who is? We have
It's
nobody.
unbelievable. This is what you get these days. This is your government walking out on the people. For what? What was their reasoning?
Maggie, thank you for holding. Welcome to KNST.
Hey there, Garrett. How are you doing? It's Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. Great. Thank you.
Hey. Yeah, I was there last night being one of the, pot stirrers, I guess I should say. But 90% of the parents up there do not support a mask mandate.
Yeah.
They support a mask optional.
Yep.
And that is totally within everybody's right to either have your kid wear it or not. But the other interesting thing was that the new board, quote unquote, voted on no medical interference, no medical, like a forced vaccine, forcing this vaccine in order to get your kid back in. What I heard last night from the kids, because there were plenty of them there, was this you're clipped. So if you do the wrong thing, if your mask comes down below your nose, you're clipped. You're clipped down the collar. Or if you do all the right things, you're clipped up. These kids are nervous wrecks about the mask.
So hang on a second. Hang on a second. Who made that color-coded chart of good behavior and bad behavior? The principal, the superintendent? Who did that?
I'm not sure who did it, but it's a school-wide thing. It
Okay.
seems to be a district-wide or at least school-wide where the kids that I was talking to were talking about. These little kids are nervous wrecks. They're having behavioral issues, like mental health issues, okay? I know my own granddaughter in her school district is doing the same thing. So at the Freedom Talk at Viva Coffee, I said, guys, grizzly bears, mama grizzlies, papa grizzlies, you've got to stand up, everybody in the room. Well, guess what? People were there that weren't necessarily in Vail as far as residents. I don't live in Vail. But I said, I'm going to be there, and we're going to get this thing done. So a lot of people, Michelle Dillard, Justine Wozniak, Stephen Daniels, they came in, as well as other people who are just patriots and want freedom of choice.
Yep.
So I guess what my comment at Viva Coffee was, we start here, we go to the next school district, we go to the next school district, and the next, and the next, and the next, until this thing grows so stinking big that the school boards are like, you want to resign? Fine. It's a no-pay job, guys. You don't get paid to be an elected member on a school board. It's a quote-unquote thankless task, but you do it because it's the right thing to do and to keep an eye on your school district and the teachers and the students and keep everybody
copacetic and happy. But freedom, as the parent ARS 1-601
Yep.
has to be enforced.
Yep.
And the parents are rising up. Thank God that you have a mouth and you're doing this, and Viva Coffee and Justine, myself, other people, Purple for Parents. Thank God that there are people out there fighting.
Can I,
The
can
GOP
I, they don't do it. First off, really quick, because I just have to ask you a couple questions. One thing, yes. Were there any members of the Republican Party besides school board member Chris King, who's on the board and walked out? Were there any other members of the GOP there to support you guys to try to fight for the rights of the kids? Did you see any?
Well, there's people, as far as members, no, not that I knew of, no. Justine Watzek was the closest thing, but she's not, of course, a member.
Well, she's not an elected official. There's nobody elected, nobody
but
from...
she will be.
Yeah, well, there you go.
She will be.
So let me go back really quick, though. So the kids get dinged up or down if their mask is on properly or below their nose. Do they get, if they get too many clips, as you call it, like neck clip down, do they get in trouble? Does anything happen? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know what the actual situation is with that, but here's the thing. Talking to my grandchild, talking to these kids that were there, it is a psychological reward or unreward, right? And in a kid's mind, even the junior high and high school kids, have this they're a little more standy-uppy. But in these young kids in elementary school, these kids are a freaking nervous wreck about this. And this is wrong. They don't like looking at their teachers. They can't see the expressions. You can't see half of someone's face. We all know this. It's not healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or, physically. It is not healthy. And I know there was just a situation in Oregon where a little gal was up there running an
She was a
event.
track she was on a track team. Yeah, and she collapsed right. It was like an 800-meter run, and she collapsed right at the line. And now the track coach is saying this is ridiculous. Why are they wearing masks outside and wearing masks when they compete in athletics? It's just not necessary.
Well, some dads were talking about up there about how their kids had to do so many suicides with their masks on when the weather was warm. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And
So
speaking of that, by the way, again, I don't know if
stand
your parents do have to stand up. I was told there were 4 kids in the Vail School District committed suicide this year or this school year. That's what I was told.
Well,
and I'm like, that's
what the parents are saying.
Yeah, and that is so beyond. And thank you for the phone call, Maggie. I appreciate it. That is so insane. More kids have died by suicide than by COVID. And they're continuing to mess with these kids. And these school board members wouldn't even hear it. Neither would the progressive lefty John Carruth superintendent, who is Kathy Hoffman's chief of staff. I mean, I am disgusted by all of this, by all of it. Really quick, let me go to Rob. Rob, welcome to KNST. Hi.
Good. How are you?
Good. What's up, man? I'm short on time. Go ahead, brother.
So my daughter is in the car with me. We're on our way to drop her off at school, and she's a student in the Vail School District, and she has an opinion on the masks in school district.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ariana. She's in the car.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Speak. Okay, so she's playing camera shy, even though she's not on the camera.
Okay, so what's your
Ariana, how do
opinion?
you feel about the mask?
Okay, so first of all, masks are absolutely stupid. I already have really bad acne, and the masks are just giving us acne. I'm also in band, and we have to have bell covers over our instrument where the air comes out, and we have to wear masks that have flaps over them so that we can put our mouthpiece in our mouth. And it's hard to breathe with those masks because we're trying to breathe so heavily that we just need a nose full of masks. And most of my teachers, they're not even allowing us to eat food in our class because we would be taking off our masks. We're only allowed to drink water, and that's only for like a second or two.
This is great. By the way, what do the kids think? What do you know? You don't know every child, but do you think at least half the students, or about half, or more than half, are against wearing the masks?
I know a lot of students at my school and even some of my classes, they'll wear their mask like over or under their nose. Or I have one student in my U.S. history class will walk into class not wearing his mask, and my teacher will saying you need to put on a mask. But he doesn't wear his mask during passing period. So like most, if not half the students don't like the mask. They think they're stupid. I do have one friend who says that the mask makes us feel safe. And I explained to him, hey, COVID's so small that it's just going to go through the mask anyways. There's no point. How are we supposed to fight it if we can't herd immunity the heck out of it? There's no point at all. If we can't immunize ourselves against COVID.
Listen, Ariana, you've done a great job at explaining your opinion. I'm glad you got it. Please don't ever be shy. If you and your dad could let me know what happens at your school today, if kids show up without the mask, what the reaction is, please let me know. It's amazing to me also, by the way, that your teachers are against you pulling down your mask for more than a second or two to drink water, and they don't let you eat an actual snack. I mean, they were supposed to be vaccinated. And if they're vaccinated, they shouldn't be afraid. And they have a mask on as well, so they shouldn't be afraid. So I don't know what the problem is. And I thank you for the phone call. This is just all insane. I have more calls coming up. The lying, you know who's on the right side of this, because the lies have already started. Where the board told KGUN 9, Pima County Sheriff's Department told us to adjourn the meeting. They told us to adjourn the meeting because of an unruly crowd. And Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos said that's not true. They made the decision to leave on their own. Uh-oh. And then, I mean, how pathetic is this? KVOA puts out a story. Did you see this? Where they make it up and they don't even source it to anybody, but they put out a claim that 90% of parents at Vail schools support the mask requirement. Again, it just said one parent. That's the great journalism. One parent says, wow, lies, lies, and more lies. And here's the problem we have with the sheriff's deputies and the sergeant that was there, is that they just, I mean, I get it. They want to diffuse the situation, right? They want to diffuse the situation. And they just wanted people to leave. But you couldn't make people leave. Here was the problem. They tried to kick out the parents and the people that were at the meeting in the room before 7 o'clock when it started. And we have the soundbite. And Steve Daniels and the rest of and the other parents that were there and other people that were there said, if we leave, they can come out and have their own meeting, make their own rules, and not let anybody in. So we're going to wait till 7 o'clock to see if they actually come out to start the meeting, because they knew they were hiding in the back. But the sheriff's deputies and the sergeant with the Pima County Sheriff's Department were just trying to get people out of there, and they let them eventually stay, but they argued with them. And it's like, no, you can't take one side. Then they wanted to escort the school board members to their car, but there was no threats. There were no threats. But you can't try to kick out these people. Then there's one part, and I'll get the soundbite during this next break, where one of the deputies actually told the group inside the room as they were waiting to see if they would come out for the 7 o'clock start of the meeting, we enforce the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean?
You know, we enforce the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. So we're looking at things Can
you say that one more time?
In a way that we want to make everybody happy here, okay?
You're trying to make people happy?
Yeah.
These people are elected to do a job.
And you have
You're actually, your boss is elected to do a job too. So right now you're actually condoning unlawful acts.
I'm not condoning anything. That's where you're incorrect. I'm saying there's a peaceful way to end this, and let's just end it.
We're being very peaceful, but I feel like we need to wait until.
That was incredibly disrespectful.
Yeah, the meeting doesn't start till 7, so I feel like we're going to at least wait until that point.
That's up to start.
That's in 12 minutes.
So the meeting's been adjourned. So
Yeah, you can't adjourn a meeting that, sir.
It'll be rescheduled.
You cannot adjourn a meeting that was never called to order.
We're not on either one of your sides, but if they're not holding.
You're on the side of the law. Would you agree? Upholding the law, especially as sheriffs. Like, you guys are held to a higher standard. Yeah, you guys are held to a higher standard as sheriffs because you're elected.
There's no meeting. That's what I'm getting.
Well, you can say that, but it's not your job to determine that.
It's been canceled.
Well, it hasn't. You can't cancel. That's a violation of open meeting law in Arizona. So if they go past 7 o'clock and they don't call the meeting to order, then they're now violating the law. I would expect that you guys arrest them.
No, we don't enforce.
You don't enforce the law.
We enforce the law.
Okay, so if they're violating Arizona statute, ARS You're not going to enforce that.
What law are you referring to?
Open meeting law in
Okay,
Arizona.
do you know the ARS on that?
She's looking it up.
Statutes? Okay.
Yeah, but there's an actual statute that says this is how you have to conduct open meetings in Arizona. And it's school boards, it's city councils, it's county boards. They all have to follow. And if they've posted
What is
a
the penalty
meeting,
for not doing it?
well, we could look at that. I mean, I'm not a judge.
32-4801, 38-431, 38-431.01, 38-431.02.
What's it say? Yeah.
Do you want me to read all of them?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
I'm curious.
No, I know. I'll go for it.
Educate me.
Well, I mean, spirit-wise, it says that they posted a public notice that they're having a meeting.
Okay.
They need to have a meeting.
Okay, so what is the penalty if they don't do that?
I don't think there is a penalty.
Thanks for doing that. Welcome to KNST. How you doing this morning, man?
Doing great, Garrett. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. So, I mean, I've talked about everything from the beginning when you got there, and about 6:45, you're sitting in the meeting room. I want you to describe it. And you were talking to Chris King and the superintendent, and it was a far leftist, and all these guys, and they just got up and left. And explain the legalities behind that, if you can, how them getting up and leaving and not conducting a meeting, even though it was a publicly scheduled meeting, right? It was posted that we're going to do this. They can't just leave, right?
Yeah, that's right. So when we got there, as you mentioned, we drove down from Phoenix. We got there at about 20 till 7. And when we entered, we thought that the meeting was happening. They had their prior work session before that. And the deputies and everyone was telling us that the meeting was adjourned. And as I explained to them, well, you can't adjourn a meeting before you've called it to order. And they said, well, no, it's already been adjourned. It's canceled. I said, well, is it adjourned or is it canceled? And we kept talking about that. We were in a separate room and then realized that the board meeting was actually taking place in another room. So we walked in there, and there sits Chris King along with the rest of the board that was there. I believe there was 3 other individuals. One of them was not attending, along with the superintendent. And as you mentioned, Chris King, LD10 Republican Party chair. And I engaged with him because, as part of the Patriot Party, a member of the Patriot Party, our job is to hold the Republican Party accountable and stop the rhinos. And that's why, I'll send everybody to stoptherhinos.com and go there to find out how to do what we did last night. And we'll talk more about that later. But as I engaged with Chris and said, hey, you're a supposed conservative. Why are you doing this? And he says, well, this is a nonpartisan position. I don't bring that here. I'm here to, he says, I was elected to represent the teachers and the students. And, that's absurd. He's elected to represent the people.
Yep.
The people, the taxpayers, the ones who voted for him. So just really no patience for that. And he decided to walk out. And trying to explain, at that point, then, you've got the sheriff's deputies trying to make us leave the room because you've got the superintendent, the president of the board telling us to leave, and the deputies backing them up. And we had to explain to the deputies that this is a posted meeting. This isn't a public meeting. And when it's posted with an agenda, they've got to run the meeting. They can't just decide they're not going to do that. That is a violation of Arizona open meeting law. So after having a back and forth with them, trying to explain to them this has to happen, they can't just not do it. The deputies did allow us to stay in that room until at least 7 p.m., which was the posted time. At which point they did ask us to leave the room, and the deputies, they got a little confrontational with us. A sergeant put his hands on me.
I saw that
to get me to leave that room, which I thought was extremely inappropriate. They didn't even understand open meeting law. They didn't understand that the board was actually violating the law. And we've got deputies telling us that they're not going to enforce that law because they only enforce the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. So a very, very frustrating experience to deal with our law enforcement who was there to protect the board, not the people.
Yep. Because I remember, and I saw in the video, and again, the whole video is on my page at KNST.com. You can see it there. I have 2 videos up. The longer one, you'll see it. Where one of the sheriff's deputies said, we are here trying to escort the board members to their vehicles because they feel scared. They feel scared. But nobody threatened anybody. There was no violence. There were some emotional people. That one woman on crutches, God bless her, a teacher who said that I'm just over this. This is just insane. But nobody was making screams or threats or anything like that. And so, but tell me if I'm wrong. I'm watching the video just so I get it right. you guys were under the impression that these school board members left, but then they never actually left, right? There were all these rumors they left, they didn't leave. You thought that they'd go in backdoor wise, have the room to themselves, conduct the meeting, do what they wanted, then leave. Nothing, right? Wasn't that a big scare right there?
Well, that's a concern for sure, because if they meet, if there's more than two of them that meet a quorum, they're then again violating the open meeting law, where the people are to have access to them. And if they come back in that room, or they're in the back room together discussing district business, then they're violating open meeting law. And it's very likely that there was many violations yesterday that need to be addressed with the Attorney General's office. And I'm sure some parents will step up and do that. But our concern was that they were having a meeting without the people. The deputies kept telling us they were there to keep the peace. However, it sure seemed like they were there simply to protect the board, not actually follow the law or ensure that the law was being followed.
Yep. Can you hang on for a sec, Steve? I want to get back, because people are saying, and even, members of the Pima GOP and part of my legislative district are saying this is not real. That you can't just elect a group of people, blah, blah, blah. Whether it holds up in court or not, I don't know. But I want to talk about that and what it was like yesterday. I have the sound bites. We'll get to it. But, the fact that there were people that said, you know what? If those people have now basically been kicked out of their position because they just simply violated the meeting laws, they don't want to hear from us, we're going to elect new people. I want you to go over that and what happened. Okay. Can you hang on for me if you don't mind?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Steve Daniels, the Patriot Party. This is why you come up. You just, the Republicans, what you need to support. Listen, they're all Republicans of the Patriot Party. It's just the Republican Party's not fighting. Again, Anna Clark, she keeps on trying to hit me up on Facebook. She's part of the Pima GOP. And I said, why are you not condemning Chris King? Why are you not supporting the parents? I know Anna Clark is upset. She's not for the mask. She's mad her kid has to wear. We're on the same page when it comes to that. But instead of being outraged at the reaction of the school board, including Chris King, there's nothing there. It makes us think, whose side are you on? Why should we support you? And we're not. So we'll have more with Steve Daniels. The website for the Patriot Party is stoptherhinos.com. We'll continue. Looks like it was the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. It's true.
You thought the same thing.
It's true. Really quick, before we bring back Steve Daniels, can we play 131? I'm sorry, 130. This is where the new school board members, we're going to have Steve comment on this, they voted to get rid of the mask requirement. They were out in the lobby of the building out there at the Vail School District. Listen to this.
You can vote to remove the mask. So somebody on the board needs the motion to remove the mask. And then someone needs the second. Okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. Quiet.
Everybody be quiet.
Quiet.
Go
ahead.
I motion that the entire Vail School District will be free of mask policy, and it will be optional to all teachers and students alike with no fear of retribution.
Perfect. All right, board member needs a second. Okay, we need to have a vote. Okay, say your name.
Angelica, aye.
I, Tiffany Sanders.
I, Stacy Olinger.
I believe.
I, Anastasia.
Okay, that's unanimous. No more mask in Vail.
Yet the progressive liberal who used to be the chief of staff for Kathy Hoffman, the state superintendent, he's now the superintendent of schools in Vail, John Caruth, sent out an email saying, listen, you still have to wear masks. You still have to. Well, we'll talk about it. And apparently and Steve knows about this. Steve Daniels, president of the Patriot Party, is with me on KNST. There was already one student that was already down in Vail in the middle school there that was actually sent to the principal's office because the student took a stand and didn't wear a mask. That's what happened?
Yeah, that's the message I'm getting, Garrett. They said that they got sent to the principal's office. Not sure what's taking place at this point, but we just challenged all the parents last night, send your kids to school without the mask. It stops when the parents stop participating. That's the bottom line.
Yep, you're right about that. So what about this situation with the Roberts Rules Roberts Rules of Order, where these, again, you looked for people to just step up and run for school board because the school board ran out. They ran out of a meeting. Explain how this happened. I mean, we don't know if it's legal or not. I think it is a great example for people just to do it, though. Just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation we've got, right, where we have government at all levels who's not listening to the people. They're not representing the people. So what do? We take the power back from those representatives, from a tyrannical government. And because they decided to walk out on that meeting and not hold a quorum, the people decided to do it. So Robert's Rules of Order is essentially the process that you run open meetings or run meetings. And at that point, the people said, enough. We're going to go ahead and take the power back, and we're going to go ahead and elect a new school board that's going to represent us, the people. So they did that, and it was an amazing turnout. I was extremely proud of the parents of Vail School District, because I've been fighting this battle along with many others for years. Purple for Parents is another group that was represented last night, who I've been involved with for a number of years as well. And we've had a struggle. We've been in a lot of different fights at the local level with these different school boards, and it's always been a challenge to get parents to show up. Last night they showed up, and if that's one thing I can say is people have to get off the couch. They have to show up. You have to get active, because until you show up and tell these people to do their jobs, they won't. And clearly they were disturbed last night enough to just go home and not listen to the people. So they didn't want that pressure. And pressure is the only thing that's gonna elect change at this point.
Yep, that's all we have. I mean, the fact that they wouldn't even sit there and listen, and then again, like we get, at least I know you do too. We get attacked by the Republican establishment. I'm like, I don't know why they just don't get on board. Like all these people that show up to Chris King's training to run for school board, all the people that showed up at the Pima GOP training this past Saturday for run, if they want to find information to run for elected office, those are people that are on our team, right? Our wavelength. They're doing it because they're mad and they want to get involved. They're not doing it because they love the Republican Party. Whether or not they're part of the Patriot Party doesn't make a difference, but they are of our mindset. And for some reason, again, it's like the nobody in the establishment GOP, which is right now, unfortunately, like all the LDs, right? Or the AZ GOP, Pima GOP, they're not going to condemn Chris King for not fighting for the kids. They're not going to condemn Chris King for turning his back on the parents that wanted to be heard to say, please, I don't want to send my child to school with a mask anymore. Even Governor Ducey said, it's done. It's over. And yet Chris King walked right out. He walked right out. I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, they want to attack you. And I know we could talk about this too. At the LD10 meeting, like a week or two ago, they spent 2 hours not talking about what can we do to get kids, maskless. What can we do to stand up for kids? What can we do to take on issues? They spent 2 hours to find out if they should allow people from the Patriot Party, who are Republicans, into the LD10 meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, there's so many issues we can unpack here, Garrett. To hit on that real quick, at the LD10 meeting, from the people who were there that described it to me, something I've been bringing up as a major problem within the Republican Party, within the establishment, the leadership, the way that they maintain control is through proxy votes. Well, the interesting thing is here, and this is something that really just, the irony does not escape me, is that they held a vote in that meeting to determine if Patriot Party members, who are Republicans, mind you, we're registered Republicans, whether or not Patriot Party members would be allowed to attend and potentially speak at future LD10 meetings. They held a vote. The vote, it was voted down, by the way. It was voted down 25 to 27. Now, here's the best part. Chris King's wife carried 2 proxies. And she sheepishly walked up to Chris and said, I've got 2 proxies. So her proxies are the ones that actually voted down the measure to allow Republicans, Patriot Party members, into those meetings. It's just unbelievable that that's how the establishment operates to maintain control, is through this proxy scam. And maybe we can come back and have a longer discussion on that sometime.
Yeah.
But it's really unfortunate when you've got somebody like a Chris King, who is he's a legislative district chair for the Republican Party. And right now you see the Republican Party, the establishment, the GOP, circling the wagons around this guy. To your point, he just held a training for candidates for school board. And yet he's the one that walks out on his duties. And I heard that he went home and he watched my live on Facebook. So he watched himself be fired. So back to that point, Robert's Rules of Orders allows you, the people, to conduct a meeting if they don't. So to your point, I'm not sure whether this holds up in court, but it is the mechanism that the people are going to have to use to take power back from tyrannical governments. And that school board at this point is tyrannical. They are not allowing for the parents to make the best decisions for their children, both educationally and medically at this point. And it's unacceptable. I say, either if you got to send your kids to these government indoctrination centers, send them without a mask. If you don't have to send them, I'd pull them out of that school and find a better option, whether it's homeschool, whether it's a charter school, private school, but stop feeding the beast.
Yeah, that's what needs to happen. By the way, you can go to robertsrules.com to find out more, because Robert's Rules of Order, it sounds weird, but you look it up. I never heard about it until yesterday. It's a political book written by Henry Martin Robert. It's the most widely used manual of parliamentary procedures in the United States. So this is not something that is just some random thing. It's just that when people don't know it, they tend to make fun of it. Oh, come on. No, but this actually happened. I saw one part, and by the way, this is Steve Daniels, who's on KNST. He is the president of the Patriot Party on KNST, AM 790. I was watching your live feed. It was literally a must-see video. And again, I have the whole thing at knst.com. At one point, one of the men that was a newly elected school board member, a tall guy, I forget his name, he came out and said the school board was willing to speak to 5 students. Like there was some kind of a deal he negotiated with them. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and you're right. So there was a gentleman, I believe his name was Bill.
Yes, Bill.
And yeah, so Bill, one of the newly elected school board members. And before that happened, he was in there, somehow had been negotiating for the group, which I tried to explain to everyone. You don't negotiate with terrorists. And I got a lot of pushback when I said the word terrorist. And I said, no, they're acting like terrorists right now, and you don't negotiate with them. They've posted an open meeting. They're to conduct a meeting and allow the people in. They wanted to hear from just 5 students. And they were just going to have those students come in individually. So number one, you're not sending kids into this boardroom to make a statement to the school board on their own. I mean, that's intimidation on every level. So then they agreed, we'll let one parent come in with them. And I said, no, you don't separate children and their parents. Like if they got 2 parents here, both parents need to be in that room at a minimum. But I told the people, I said, I would not negotiate with them at all. It's either all or nothing. Because I told them what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, we heard from the people. We allowed them to come in and speak. And sure enough, I watched a local news story. I think it was Channel 9 last night down there. And of course, what did they say? Oh yeah, the board, they were able to come to an agreement with the parents, and they were allowed to hear from 5 students. So right away, they did exactly what I feared, was they used that against the people. If the people would have, they did a great job last night, but if you got to stand strong, you cannot negotiate with these people. If they would have said simply, no, it's all of us or none of us, then they own the narrative, versus the school board trying to come back and say, well, no, we actually listened to the people.
That's right, and that's they try to build it. You got to stay strong. It can be uncomfortable, but you have to embrace the uncomfortable, right? You have to embrace it and realize this is the new normal, because that's the only thing that elicits change. Now, what was it like? I watched your video after the deputy, kind of pushed you outside, put his hands on you. Let's go outside. Blah blah blah. I think it was the sergeant. You went out there too, and you told parents standing in the parking lot. There were hundreds and hundreds of parents, and this is not what they normally do. But you were telling them, you got to get back inside. You got to get bigger. You got to take it back. And they kind of looked at you like, we're not used to we're not used to being those people. We're not radical liberals. We're not used to going in there and standing up for ourselves. Like, we're the good people. We listen, blah, blah, blah. But you got them to go back inside. When I looked at it, you tell me, you were right there live. It seemed like they were kind of hesitant, but then they went with it. But this is the way we have to act if we want change, because our elected leaders are not listening to us, right?
No, you're right. And you call it civil disobedience, call it whatever you want. I don't think we're disobeying anything. I think we're the ones following the law. They're not. So it's a weird conversation to have. It was uncomfortable for these people. I've been doing this for a while, and it's still uncomfortable for me. But I feel like it's my job, my duty to give these people the strength and the backbone to do it until they're more comfortable. It's hard to stand up to these, to people, especially when they have these deputies in there who are putting on this strong front. They're essentially forming a line to stop the people from accessing their representatives. So at that point, when you're being cut off from your representation, that's a major problem. But I went out there and I rallied the people. And again, this wasn't about the Patriot Party yesterday. No. I simply went down there. I just went down there to give a quick 3-minute statement to chastise the board for continuing to muzzle these kids. That's simply all I went down there for. And things transpired the way they transpired. I was not expecting it. But I went out there and I told these people, I go, get in there. I go, this is your meeting. Get in there and hold your meeting. And the parents, they did a great job. I have to really drill down on that. Is the parents did a great job yesterday, and we need more parents to step up. They've got to show up to all their board meetings. I had so many people last night. Countless people reach out to me last night and thank me for what happened, but then also say, we need your help here. We need your help here. I mean, probably had 20, 30 different school districts represented last night that reached out to me and saying, we need your help here. I would tell these parents, rally the numbers. The strength is in numbers. When you have 100, 200, 300 parents show up, that sends a message. We will show up. I will show up to any school board meeting if the parents can commit the numbers. That's the bottom line. And I'll show them how to do it. And again, go to stoptherhinos.com and sign up. Get our updates, our email updates, because we actually hold trainings on how to be an effective activist, how to put the pressure on these elected to do their jobs. And if they won't, then we elect new ones.
That's how it is. That's how it works. Last one, Steve Daniels here on KNST AM 790. The email from this morning, it went out from John Caruth, the progressive superintendent. He wrote that he wanted to clarify mitigation plans. The face coverings are still required. Rumors to the contrary. And then he writes, this has been an intense and emotional year. This evening, our governing board meeting was disrupted by a group of people, several of whom lived outside our district. The meeting had to be canceled and will be rescheduled soon. I feel bad for the parents who were there tonight who simply wanted to address the board with their concerns. Another opportunity will be provided in a peaceful and respectful setting. So the reason it was canceled is because the board did not want to hear any of the parents. It had nothing to do with where anyone was from. They just didn't want to hear the parents. What's your reaction to this superintendent's garbage damage control email?
Yeah, I read this email last night. It was forwarded to me. Of course, I'm not in the district. But here's the thing. Everything they do anywhere in this state affects all of us. And I'm a taxpayer of the state, and the state funds do go to this district. So I have just as much right and responsibility to show up to these meetings as anyone. But for him to sit there and make this comment, I mean, this is gaslighting the public. He's lying about what took place, because when we got there, drove down from Phoenix, as I mentioned, we didn't get there till about 20 till 7. Well, they had already, quote unquote, canceled or adjourned this meeting. So this had nothing to do with people coming from out of district and them having to, they felt disrupted and had to cancel the meeting. They'd already made that decision. They didn't want to hear, to your point, they did not want to hear from the parents. And there were so many people out there. That meeting would have gone on forever, which is perfect, because they need to hear every voice. Every person that showed up had a right to petition their government for redress of grievance. That's what people have to understand. They need to go back to what our founders put in place. There's a process. They gave us a blueprint to follow, where if a government is being tyrannical, you remove that government and you replace it with a correct government. And that's the bottom line. We have to take the power back. We have to take. Very key word, take. You don't ask. We're done asking. You have to take. And that's what we're doing right now. This needs to happen everywhere, in every city, in every county, in our state, and then it needs to go. They need to do this nationally. This is how you take the power back from these tyrannical representatives.
Yep, and it doesn't sound radical, because they took our freedoms, they took our businesses, they took our kids' innocence, they put masks on, they did all this stuff, and they're not relenting. And that's why we have to do this. No, this is not normally in our nature to do this, but we have to do it, because if we don't, it will just continue to happen. Steve Daniels, president of the Patriot Party, thank you so much. Go to stoptherhinos.com, and again, the video that you took, the entire live set. I mean, your arm has to be tired from holding that phone up for an hour and 34 minutes last night. That was remarkable. I don't even know how your battery kept going that long. That was great. People can see it on my page. Steve, thank you for everything that you've done, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Garrett. I'd just say one more thing.
Sure.
This Saturday, we're going to be out in Mesa, because we're recalling Rusty Bowers, the Speaker of the House. We need everyone to show up. So it's Timeout Sports Bar and Grill in Mesa at 8 a.m. this Saturday. Show up. We need you to go out there, and we're going to teach you how to hold your government accountable. We need everyone to show up at 8 a.m. for about 4 hours, and we're going to collect signatures to recall the Speaker of the House, Rusty Bowers.
I hope it happens. Go to stoptherhinos.com for more. Steve, appreciate it, man. Have a great time.
Thanks a lot, Garrett. Take care.
Take care. We'll continue. It's Kane.
Driving performance.